Through my time on Wynncraft, I've attempted to make a name for myself by doing stupid ass shit on this server. From doing every single dungeon instance without armor, to completing TNA in under 20 minutes with no armor. Today, however, is no exception. I beat Qira Hive without using any armor or craftable. Now, why is this a big deal? Well, Qira Hive is pretty notorious for beating the actual living shit out of first-time players, and for beating the shit out of veteran players, too. Qira is so powerful, the lore is like, yeah, gang, so, we're just gonna give you some crazy-ass chestplate that, nerfs every stat in the game, and even with that chestplate, she still sticks her spider tongue up your ass and eats your unborn children. Qira Hive is a level catacomb. Jacob, what's a level catacomb? I am glad you asked. A level catacomb is a dungeon-like activity where there are a series of bosses that increase in difficulty. There are 5 different rooms and a boss room, and each room increases in level. An example is the first room starting at around level 80, and the boss room ends at level 100. So, with that being said, I thought it was a good and funny idea to do this shitty catacomb without armor. I started off in the Thunder Room, which is the easiest room out of the 5. I entered the boss and forgot how much of a pain this was going to cause. Each boss has a funny, quirky gimmick. The Thunder boss's gimmick was that he creates mirror images of himself, and if you hit one of the images, you go blind and take a shit ton of damage. So we had to be sure to not hit any of the mirror images. We smack his ass like a naughty boy, realizing that this might not be too bad, and head over to the air room. The air boss was nothing special either. His gimmick was he throws rockets around the map, and they do a shit ton of damage. But once you figure out when he throws the rockets, he's not that much of a problem. We put my dagger inside of his booty and head into the earth room. Now, all of the bosses are easy if you have this lovely virtue called patience. Me, who's trying to pump on content like you pump sugar into a type 2 diabetic person, does not have patience. So, most of these bosses give me quite an issue, but thankfully, the Earth boss completely throws his patience at you out of the window because you have a set time to beat him or you automatically die. When you enter the boss room and do about 20 to 30k damage, the room starts to cave in and you have 2 minutes to beat him. Now, this is a problem because I have no armor, and he hits about as hard as you expect from someone who has the canonical power to collapse his own boss arena. So it was kind of hard to pirouette / multi-hit the boss when he kind of makes you levitate a lot of the time because how the room works and gravity and physics. But other than that annoyance, we beat him with about 43 seconds left on the clock, and we move on to the water boss. I have a severe problem when it comes to this boss fight. I had to complete this boss without armor 3 separate times, and each fucking time I would always die 3 to 5 times simply because of how annoying this fight is. He spawns some spinning balls that spawn on the ground that do damage you no matter how high up you are. And for those of you who don't know, I'm playing on Acrobat, and I have to fly! So I have to fly around them whilst doing damage to the boss, and this boss loves to throw random shit at you, also teleports away when you get close to him. So needless to say, this fight was an absolute hair-pulling experience every single time. But thankfully, we managed to get a recording that wasn't corrupted, so we move on to the fire boss. Now this is where the challenge takes a turn for the worse. The fire boss is notably known to be one of the hardest at-level bosses in the entire Wynncraft game. Some even say he is more difficult for a first-timer than Qira herself. His geysers are powerful, his attacks spread across the entire map, and he himself has 2 different powerful phases. He is just known to be a force of nature, destroys anyone who stands in his way, and has the power to destroy the planet himself. Oh, what? That's it? That was the hardest boss in the game? Hey Cheryl? Are you sure that this was meant to be some sort of challenge? I was told by my sources that he was pretty fucking difficult. Are you sure? okay? With the pretty shocking turn of events, I assumed that Qira was going to be easy peasy. No problems whatsoever. Yeah, no. That hope died faster than my actual will to live. Qira has these lovely things called attacks so confusing you need to do research on them. Basically, Qira's gimmick is she takes an attack from the other bosses and throws them into her arsenal. She has the air's bombardment spell. She has the water spinning cyclone thingy-majiggies. And she has this one spell. The spell that made me want to go to the store, buy a cucumber, lubricate it, and shove it up a gay vegan man's asshole. It is called Force Strike. And it basically does whatever the fuck it wants to do. Now, how it's supposed to work is there's an internal timer that ranges from 3 seconds to 5 seconds, with varying cooldowns depending on the time it takes to charge up. When the internal timer ends, it explodes to wherever the player currently is on the map. Ground or air. Yes, let me repeat that. Ground or air. Air. Where I am. Trying not to fucking die. This attack was such an annoyance that every single time Qira charged up a spell, I treated it like it was going to be Force Strike. Every single time. I don't care if I saw the spinning things being charged up, I treated that bitch like Force Strike because goddamn it, I know how this server works. They throw shit at you and expect it to work. So I was flying around like a pussy with my tail between my legs trying to fucking dodge every single Force Strike that was coming my way. You want to know the best thing about this attack? You want to know the best thing? It's the only attack that can happen in all 3 phases. So I had to deal with it as soon as I entered the boss. She could have done this right after all the spiders fall down from the roof. And I would have had to deal with it from that second until her dead corpse is on the ground so I can commit necrophilia. That's how fucked this fight is. But besides my crippling will to live and my mouse on his last legs after being thrown at a wall countless times, we got really lucky one run and the spitting bitches of death were actually pretty cooperative, so we managed to beat her without armor or craftables.